inhibitor zones. Again, obviously, just to kind of reiterate, just because we're seeing this map for the second time already, some maps haven't been seen yet. It's just the way the veto system works sometimes, guys. At the end of the tournament, we should hopefully have all the maps seen a fairly regular and even amount. So fingers crossed on that. It's just one of those things where some maps are going to get picked more than others, and I can only stop maps being picked so often at certain times, right? So apologies for sometimes seeing some maps before others. It's just the way it works. Alright, top left-hand side, a yellow Terran player. This is Ziggy. Up against the blue Zerg. The bottom right, we have got SortOf. So the two non-Koreans in this group, and a lot of you guys are already asking, what on earth are those? These are inhibitor zones. A 35% slow to ground and air units that move through them. So I'm pretty sure we'll see them in action on this map because there's a lot of them, and they do cover some of the important pathways and ramps here on Mungyong Sejang by RQM. This is RQM's tournament. He's just getting all of his maps played, isn't he? What a hero. He just had, the last map was by RQM as well, Acropolis. So, seen a couple of them in a row. The other map in this series is actually going to be Winter's Gate, which is a map I believe we haven't seen just yet. It's actually the other map that comes in from the, it's another map that comes in from the, same section as this, kind of the slowing section, the inhibitor zone challenge. So that'll be quite interesting. But also still yet to see Rest Calm, which is going to be seen today. We've also got some games coming up, I believe, on Collision Course and Loss Aversion that we haven't seen yet too. So we've got a few of the maps that still are yet to be seen coming up in the remaining matches today, guys. As you do see, the couple of zones already slowing the Reaper down a little bit. No micro here from Ziggy to attempt to avoid them, just moving straight across the map down towards this bottom right-hand side. Hatchery drops in on the third base. I mean, beyond the fact that it is this sort of, got these zones, this map is very, very large, it feels like. So it definitely allows for some macro-focused play, some longer games, perhaps. We'll see how this goes. This Reaper already dealing some good damage to those first few Zerglings. And now coming around to the right side, and we'll start to pick away at a couple of those drones. So drones taking a little bit of damage here right at the start. Queen coming in, we'll be able to push that Reaper back a little bit. Reactor from Ziggy. About to finish up, and the Orbital Command Center dropping down on the natural expansion as well. And we have got the Queen, the Lings, continue to hang around and just continue to deal some damage to this Reaper. So Reaper taking a few shots there, and we are going to be seeing those couple of Hellions from Ziggy on the way up. So again, a couple of Hellions out as well as the Ling speed comes up in the next couple of moments. Third hatch is about to finish. You see creep spread coming through. My boy Thermal with the 51-month resub. There's some hype on the chat for Thermal. Thank you so much for the 51 months as we do see the creep gym again picked off. And the Queens and the Lings able to chase that Reaper away out over to the right-hand side. Yeah, these inhibitors aren't destructible at any stage of the game. What I thought would be really cool is if you could destroy them, but it takes like a super long time. I don't know like if it's possible to do something where it's like they become destructible after like 10 or 15 minutes. But I would be really interested in terms of like, I wonder if like they just had like, what if you just put like a ridiculous amount of health on them? Like rocks have 2k health. What if you put like 5k health on them or 10k health? So they're like definitely not killable early game, but they can be cleaned out later, but they really take a commitment to clean out. I feel that would be like really interesting. Like definitely make them, you know, because I feel like a lot of the time, maybe not on this map so much, but they're kind of designed to change up the early game more so than the late game. Although I guess on this map you do kind of affect the later game engagements a bit. I don't know. It's an interesting thing that could maybe be explored in the future a bit more. It's interesting. They're interesting little things. I'm glad we're seeing so much usage of the maps with them on already, and the players not afraid to go into them. We saw in the last map contest the neutral missile turrets. Though they were not good. Not that they weren't good, but players hated wanting to play with them. And when we did see players playing on them, well, Soul comes to mind when he flew all of his medevacs into the missile turrets. Clem as well. It wasn't pretty. It wasn't pretty. So, please, I feel we haven't seen anything too disastrous yet. As we do see the few Hellions just sitting out the front and pushing forwards on towards the crib spread. Cloak Banshees coming up as a follow-up here. The first one's actually already out on the map, or it should be at least. Okay, in fact, it's on the map, but it's not very far on the map. It's just sat in the natural, so maybe Maybe a little afraid of a counterattack. I mean, there's nothing to really suggest that, though, as the Hellions keeping pretty good control of the map, sends the rest of the Hellions over now as well to join up. A Ling trying to scout from SortOf. You'll see the fact this is a third CC. He'll see what's going on. Again, definitely a very large map here, as we do have these Hellions continuing to gather down on the bottom side. Going to push up on towards the base. A few Zerglings coming in as well. Grenade goes down. Continue to push those Hellions back down to the bottom. Hyperflight Rotor's starting. Oh my god, sorry. Did the caster just completely miss the fact there's triple starport? Yes, I did. Triple starport, so he's actually going to go into a bunch of Banshees here. So he's going to be very kind of air controlling. Now, those inhibitor zones do affect air units as well, but I would imagine in general they're a little bit less consequential for the air units because you're not forced up inhibitor zones to get up here, right? You can go around the ledges with air units. So, oh my god, the Lings and Banes and Hellions all get slowed up, and I think that allows the Banes to catch the Hellions there a little bit initially. That was a nice little catch as those those Hellions, man. There must be no worse feeling. You're on creep and you're like, I gotta get away, and then you hit an inhibitor, so it's like, no, I can't get away right now. Oh man, okay, well, +1 missiles and +1 melee coming up now from SortOf. So continue to get these upgrades going in. There's a few more Hydras on the way out as well. I mean, Hydras are going to be extremely useful against this Banshee style. A style that I don't think SortOf has realized just yet, right? I mean, he's maybe seen one Banshee so far, if that. Was there a Banshee killed? Yeah, he's seen one Banshee so far. He has no idea about the triple starport, though, so that's kind of a big thing. As we do see this orbital drop down on the third base. Just continue to set up the mining here. Extra factories coming in now as well to follow up with mech beyond the Banshees. And the Banshees from Ziggy going to take a bit of an adventure down the left side of the map across to the bottom right to see what's going to happen. So a ton of Banshees here. Well, I mean, at this stage, obviously, as Ziggy, you start building up in towards those siege tanks as well to kind of secure your bases back at home. You generally keep the Zerg player pretty pinned back because of the Banshees. And they can actually snipe bases and everything. So this 5th base immediately in some trouble. Hydra's starting to come over, but probably realizes he doesn't have enough Hydras to fight the Banshees. Oh, no cancel as well. Bit of a mistake by SortOf. And as Hellions diving by down the right side. It's going to be seeing the Hydras here. Going to be able to pick up these few Hellions. So getting some good damage done. Banshees again trying to move around. Why can't you see the upgrade on the Banshees? You can actually see the upgrade on the Banshees. You can see the Hyperflight Rotors creates this little like zoom-in air effect out of the rockets. So you can tell by the speed of the Banshees anyways, right? But you can generally tell the Banshees have an upgrade. They have that visual effect as well, as you see a couple of Ravens being added in as well. And you just see the couple of Overlords coming around the top side. Now, obviously this Banshee play is pretty unique, as you can see the inhibitor zone definitely slowing them down a bit there. The Banshee play is pretty unique. It's something that for a while was very popular. In fact, in one of the map contests, when Backwater was in the map contest, we saw Innovation using a lot of Banshee play. Then it's when he popularized it in the GSL, and that map was very popular for kind of like air play from Terrans in general against Zerg. So it's definitely something we've seen before, but it's definitely not been in the meta as much recently, as that was a good transfuse last second to save that Queen as the projectiles were already heading towards it. Lots of spores are going to keep these bases safe from the Banshees, which is exactly what you need as SortOf, but it's that investment in the slowdown then of your ground army that now means that Ziggy has a great army set up at home. Ravens, tanks, Banshees. The army is pretty insane. Now, at the same time, SortOf continues to tech on up. He adds on a couple more Infestors, and he's going into New York Site 2, and also very worth mentioning that Hive tech coming into play, so you can go in towards the Greater Spire. The Broodlords going to be very important here, as SortOf's Infestors missing the first opportunity of a fungal growth onto the Banshees there, as they pull on up to the top. A bit of a deeper wall up here as well, just to choke up some units as they run forwards, maybe kind of mess up with the AI of some Hydras or so as well, perhaps. As obviously Ziggy continues to expand, not just to one more base, but to 2 more. I gotta say, this map is huge. Like, you can just tell by watching the units run around it. It is absolutely crazy big. So that's definitely something to keep in mind in terms of how this game is playing out. It's not easy to create an attack on this map, and it definitely promotes sitting back and creating a little bit more kind of macro-focused plays, and just heading in towards Hive Tech, later game setups, and so on. Thank you so much to the Fallen77 for the 3-month sub as well. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. As you see the links for Gina run forwards. Oh, big fungal growth on the Banshees, though. That slows them down massively. Who needs inhibitor zones when you can just drop them in a fungal? The Banshee slowed massively there and gives the Hydras a good chance to get some kills. The Commanders of the Year taking damage as well. To sort of want to push into this area? I don't think so, especially not with anti-armor on. As Ziggy will have to sit back and just play super defensive. But now SortOf's happy. No 5th base up from the Terran, and Ziggy kind of sitting back will not hit any sort of timing before Broodlords are on the map. And so SortOf should be okay to kind of get up here and to commit into. Sometimes when you start making Corruptors and then an attack comes in, it's like, well, I've got Corruptors that don't do much. Although, I guess right now Corruptors would be able to fight Banshees. So it wouldn't be as useful, as useless as usual. Helene's, sorry, some more Banshees coming in on the left side here, and just getting a couple more Vipers hanging out as well. And something from Ziggy, going to be under fire here from these Hydras in the next couple of seconds. It's going to be seeing the siege tanks getting kicked off. Couple tanks going down, big anti-armor missile on those Hydras. Huge anti-armor missile. Command Center again gets killed. Just seeing SortOf pulling back down through the center of the map. A few more Vikings on the way out as well, plus 2 vehicle plating, weapon refit, so that's a Yamato cannon upgrade coming in too. Even more Corruptors still coming into play here. You see the Ling is still taking some damage from those Banshees. Just back over to the top side. Banshee gets picked off here. And again, just seeing those +1 flyer attacks coming in for the air units now. So getting those upgraded, knowing they're going to be a big part of this here. We see a couple of battle cruisers added on from Ziggy. Sadding these onto the top left-hand side. And that weapon refit going to be big for him in a moment or two as the Yamato finishes. +3 missile attack upgrade, +1 carapace still coming into play as Hellions run away over to the left side now. I mean, with the way that these fights are happening, we're not seeing much use of the inhibitor zones. It'd be cool to see some fights in the middle of the map, and we'll see if that maybe breaks out as the game continues through. Obviously, with the Terran being so defensive, there's no real need to take fights, or there's no real opportunity to take fights in the middle of the map. Disruptors will come through, and they will pick off these Banshees. We've got this base very low, but not getting the kill. The 2 Banshees able to escape because of their speed on the Hyperflight rotors. Actually stopped moving, but then sort of turned away anyways. Again, there's a 35% slow. Just repeating myself because I know if you guys just tuned in wondering what these things are doing. 35% movement slow on ground and air units when it comes to those inhibitors. Battlecruiser on the way up here from Ziggy. So getting that started. You see the Nidus Worm. Gonna get your Mardus and Cruisers super low super quickly. And Battlecruisers coming out from Ziggy means that it is his kind of super late game setup now. Straight into this tier 3 tech. Teleports over here, probably another Yamato to help out and continue to fight it. Exactly the case. Kill on the Nidus. So SortOf trying to Nidus around the map at the moment, trying to see if he can create some openings for himself. Hydras and Banes coming in towards the top side. Banshee doing some damage to this Nidus as well. Cloaking up. We'll see it pops into detection mode. And just see the Hydras starting to pop out as the auto turret's dropping down. Ooh, anti-armor missile hitting a few of those Hydras as well. So we're going to see the 4 fighting away, a couple of 4s fighting away. And you see that Nidus going to get picked off in the next few moments. So Nidus getting teased out right there. And as you see, this Nidus on the left-hand side going to finish in a moment or two. Tom's on the chat says the slow effect a bit overkill on a map this size. I feel like the slowing effect isn't so much for kind of slow units down on this map, as stupid as that sounds. It's more so to kind of dictate how fights happen and where fights happen, maybe, on the larger map. I mean, some of the other maps that we see these on are much kind of smaller maps where the inhibitor zones are obviously used to justify it being a smaller map overall. I feel in this map it's more so about the later game and how it affects that rather than trying it. So it's kind of a completely different way to approach the usage of these little inhibitor zones. It's cool. Anyways, we're going to be seeing Brood pressing forwards. And obviously this army trying to fight back. The Yamato cannons coming in onto those Brood Lords. So a few of them going down already. And Nidus back into the main base and sort of maybe able to sneak this one out while the rest of the army is distracted over here. He's got this army here for Nidus they can then launch into the main. Man, Vikings coming forward. Big anti-armor missiles able to hit absolutely everything. Neural Parasites on the battle cruisers, but he just teleports them forwards. And the idea is good, because then he can maybe target them down if he had anti-air, but he doesn't really have any anti-air left. A couple of Infested Terrans dropping down. The last few Hydras starting to drop. The Infested Terrans actually might be able to get kills, though. Kills one of the BCs, killing another. And the big part about teleporting the BCs during the fight means they can't teleport after us. Planetary Fortress holding on as well with 73 kills! How often do you see that many kills on the Planetary? Not very often at all. The Sniders got killed, only be rebuilt once again. Is sort of looking to continue the pressure here. Now pressing forwards in towards this top side again as well, with reinforcements having come out. The Broodlord count decimated, though. We'll have to build that up once more. A few of them will get out here. I mean, a good few Lings and so on. And there's Hellions and tanks, though, so not really going to deal much damage. And that was, again, just more of a distraction Nidus than actually able to get anything done, I feel. Excuse me as I quickly drink up. 16-minute game here. It's turned into a bit of a longer one so far. We got Hydras, Infestors, Queens hanging out on the top side. And to the far left, a couple of these refineries are going to be setting up as well. So, a couple of refineries coming through at the moment. And those Hydras still just wandering through those inhibitor zones. I'm going to get back into the Nidus network. So, Hydras back into the Nidus network here. PSTs still just patrolling around. The tanks will get sieged up. Ghost Academy drops in from Ziggy on the upper base here as well. Extra barracks going to come down too. And the +1 ship weapons also on the way out. You see the tanks still firing away and pushing the Hydras back to the top side. Lings, Banes, and Hydras still pushing through the top side too. Another BC teleports to the main. Loving the defense from Ziggy, by the way. Really good for him to be able to come in, Yamato down, and so on and so forth. +2 air armor on the way up as well. I mean, with the size of the map, the issue is he obviously gets his own 5 bases, sure, but then he doesn't really have a way to stop SortOf just taking every map on the or every base on the map. Hellions survive because the Hydras can't chase them down because of the inhibitor zone. And they are going to make it to a mineral line, although they're still being chased quickly by a bunch of Banes. This chase is pretty insane with you see the Banes crashing in. Only a couple of drones killed. The Hellions once again unsuccessful in being able to deal any damage here. So Ziggy's still trapped in on the 5 bases. Especially after he tried to take this base so early in the game. He just got stopped there and he's never really been able to get it back up. Sort of morphing in a few more Broodlords ready to push into the top left-hand side. Scan coming down, sees a couple of Hydras and Banes retreating away. More of those Hydras continue to gather up now. Just seeing these 4s moving out into the center and up through the top side still as well. Ziggy has a good anti-air army, but now the Spore Crawlers come into the fight too, and again, eventually, Ziggy probably just gets kind of pushed too far back into his base, and, you know, eventually he mines out as well. There's so many things that go wrong for Ziggy, because time is not his friend right now. There's a 4 currently, Neuroparasite, that's blocking a 4 from getting away, and it's killing siege tanks. Finally, that Infestor goes down. They got a lot of damage from that 4. Oh man, Broodlords are so good against the tanks as well. The friendly fire they cause is so painful for the Terran player. He maxed out still, is trying to add Ghosts into play, adding a ton of Ghost Academies, looking to go into a bunch of nukes at the moment. So looking to start up some nuke play, and maybe that's the one thing you can rely, well, not rely on, but hope for, to be able to get rid of some of this army. Infestor is well positioned to hit those Vikings if they came further forwards. Fungal growth there would be pretty deadly. You can chain that Fungal as well, perhaps, so Vikings have to be careful. You can see Ziggy wants to get this base up here, but it's so difficult to get there. Queens transfuse the Broodlords right away. SortOf's given up on all these kind of funky, like, Nidus counterattacks and stuff like this. He's given up on all those kind of funky counterattacks and so on. As you see, those Ghosts using all their energy, good EMPs, but they will go down. Well, now he's going to come in with the Vikings, but there's still a Fungal left. Infested Terrans drop 2. One more Fungal as everything clumps up. PC's getting taken down. It feels like this attempt to break through from Ziggy will not work out. The Hydra's picking away at those Vikings. I mean, the Broods are being lowered in numbers. There's only a few left over, but it's a big win from SortOf, who again has the map to rebuild from. Only 61 drones, so the income isn't crazy. But when that resources lost tab is even and SortOf has, what, like 3-4 more bases than the Terran, there is no way Ziggy's going to be able to make this work. Couple 4s on this top side getting picked off as well, so they both go down. Just hanging out here also as we see another scan dropping in. Ghosts, tanks, Continue to set up now, spreading out a little bit. Some more nukes continuing to be built. More Liberators on the way out. We haven't seen nukes here. We haven't really seen much Liberator play yet, but ranged Libs can be very good against the Hydras, especially. Tough for the Hydras to get far enough forwards without just taking too much damage. So that does become a bit of an issue there, as we're going to be seeing the Transfuse coming down, bringing a Broodlord back up to help. Liberator still seeking up, Vikings still coming forwards. Tanks and Helligans pressing forwards too. Another Fungal Growth drops down on a bunch of the Vikings. Vikings coming all the way forwards right now. There's a couple more of these Corruptors getting shot down. This is crazy. Ziggy is running out of gas, so the next few fights are going to be really, really painful for him if he doesn't start breaking out somehow, because his rebuilds are going to be a lot less effective. He's going to be seeing this attempt of pushing forwards at the moment. Broodlings continue to drop, Ghosts continue to take damage, Infestors taking a few shots as well. Here come the Corruptors though onto the Vikings. I mean, the BCs will be able to blow up a couple of Broodlords, but is there much of a follow-up beyond that? Probably not, I would say, as the Hydra's trying to come forwards as well. Infestors still throwing down a bunch of Infested Terrans to help out, and there's still Broods in the sky, which means the ground army will continue to be pushed back, and Ziggy will fall apart as SortOf picks up game 1. So let's see what happens for the second game. Bottom right-hand side, the yellow Terran player. This is Ziggy. And at the top left-hand side, the blue Zerg, we have got SortOf. So, 1-0 lead for SortOf at the moment. Picking up a point here against Ziggy. I think that's SortOf's first point of the day, even though we've seen some pretty cool games from him. Let's have a little bit of a look around the map. So we've got a couple of inhibitor zones on the right side. That's pretty cool, because that does slow like drops and so on coming in here maybe. So that's kind of a cool little play, maybe easier to pick off prisms and so on. And it kind of protects the main base, which might otherwise be fairly exposed to drops from that angle. So that's pretty cute. Not much action on the edges of the map. It's all the space on the map is completely used, which is pretty crazy. The inhibitor zones in the middle are going to be a big talking point as well. I love this. Placed up on the high ground and so on. Well, not on the high ground, but kind of in this little area where it's like, okay, boom. Where, covers this little space. So you kind of can take the rocks down. I actually love that idea of you can take the rocks down and create a faster attack path in. But it kind of makes this third base very safe to take for a little while. A couple of zones here and here as well, just slowing down the middle of the map a little bit and maybe promoting attacks in other directions. And then a couple over here, just don't know if those ones really serve much of a purpose. We'll see maybe as they come into play, if they do come into play. But they're obviously in those positions where it's not necessarily going to be seen all so often. So just going to be seeing a couple of Queens on the way up, a few Zerglings on the way out. Ziggy is going to open with the Free Rax Reaper. Now, the Free Rax Reaper is a style which Ziggy still uses, even though it was most popular back in 2016, 2 and a bit years ago now. So Ziggy going to try and use this again here. We have seen him with success against this in other tournaments we've casted. It's a map that's very good for Reaper play because there's a load of space over here to jump in and out of, and you can have a ledge here as well. So let's see what he can do with this as we see the few Zerglings coming over and the Reaper taking a couple shots of damage. Grenades coming through, and that's a nice little bop. Tips between the sky means it misses out on an attack shot onto the Reaper, and it will keep a Reaper alive as he gets out to the middle of the map. Obviously, want to keep these Reapers up and healthy, otherwise... Oh, no, that was the wrong Reaper, I think, that he controlled there. So a bit of a mistake by Ziggy, losing a Reaper, a little bit of a shame. You'd be so on point with your control when you're using these units, and this build especially, you'd be really, really careful. A few more Reapers on the way out. Command Center coming through as well, so going straight into a third base behind this, as he adds on another barracks too. I mean, a lot of the time Ziggy will go up into like ridiculous amounts of racks with Reapers, like 5, 6 racks sometimes. It's a little crazy to see a grenade dropping. Queen's getting bopped, and a few Queens brought down towards the center. That's a nice kill. One Queen going down already here, and The other one being chased as well, so sort of taking some damage. A couple of Lings going down too. About to have Ling speed, which is a huge helping hand in dealing with these Reapers, but that's another dead Queen. Loses a Reaper for it, but I still think the Queen's a good pick off, because obviously you stop transfuse energy, doing a lot of healing and so on, so yeah, nice to get the Queen. Ziggy backs away, sort of opts for the base on the left side, doesn't bother too much by this base. Too risky, I think, is the Zerg, because the Terran can actually probably abuse this area very nicely. Tanks here, Marines splitting away behind the inhibitor zone. You just can't attack in and protect the base. So it makes sense to see the Zerg expanding on the left side instead of these Reapers fighting with some good grenade placements, really good grenade placements to pick off all of these Zerglings. Doing a fantastic job of this. So we need to pull away, more Lings dropping down. Couple of Queens, few Zerglings still setting up in the center of the map. Ziggy back up to the high ground, so I wanted to pick up a little bit more of this troop spread here. Nice scan to do so. Obviously, you limit the kind of mobility of these units quite nicely. Another grenade dropping down, a couple of grenades dropping down. Keeping these Reapers alive. 6 Reapers continuing to come out, a couple of SCVs continue to come through. Bit of a mess from SortOf on the way up, so trying to go into a Lingbane follow, but there's still just pure Reaper play at the moment. As you can see, the inhibitor zone here maybe does, cause the Reapers to go around a little bit. And that's probably the biggest impact we've seen of the inhibitors so far. Just because of where these fights are happening, it's kind of beyond the inhibitors, right? So 5 Reapers still being produced at a time here as Ziggy looking for openings, but SortOf's got to the point where he's got a good Queen line on the front. He's got Lings and soon to be Banes as well to help out, although I'm not sure what the Banes will do if the Reapers just kite away. Coming around here. And again, you can just see, again, that inhibitor zone, it slows those Reapers a bit, right? So it just stops them from being able to attack super quickly up to this top side, maybe. It's a little cool way that it comes into play there. So counter-attack with Lings will force the SCVs to come and repair, but there's Reapers behind the mineral line, so we'll just be able to kill these Lings over time, and actually might even try and hunt them down as he heads to the top right. Let's get up to the high ground here. Oh, they're kind of cuddling in the corner and just misrallied. If you click here, the Lings will go as close as possible and then run away, rather than if you click here, they go boom, boom, much faster. So just a little bit of a misrally in the quick moment or so there by SortOf, and good movement with the Reapers looping around to shut those Zerglings down. So the Lings getting picked off there very easily, as we are now going to be seeing a few more Queens just gathering up from SortOf on the third base. I mean, is still just looking to defend. We see +1 attack on the way from Ziggy, and he will again keep building Reapers for a while longer before he goes into stim and combat shields and look for something of a follow-up. One counter-attack again is, that's going to be Reaper caught in the slow zone. So that actually costs him a Reaper there, and obviously the Lings were caught too, so they both get slowed down, but I feel just extending the chase gives the Lings a bit more of a benefit, because they are faster overall, maybe? Sure, actually. I'll have to do some math on that, maybe. We've seen Reapers still fighting at the front. And he's finding so much damage with these Reapers. He's getting so many Link kills as they come in to reinforce. That's really getting costly. Bane's morphing into counterattack across the map. Ziggy will have to find a way to deal with this because, he might just have enough Reapers. Because there isn't actually enough Zerglings to really kind of follow up to that. I mean, they run forwards, the Reapers get into a choke point, and you kill 2 supply depots, and that's about it. It's hardly, incredible, right? Ziggy pulling the Reapers back home just to make sure he's okay and safe. Make sure he's got enough at home just in case more units come across while there is kind of no wall-off in place. Or lower health wall-off because you've replaced the depots already. He actually replaces the wall with triple depot this time, so a little bit misplaced to what he had before. He's a little bit more vulnerable to Banelings. And these Reapers still looking around. Oh my god, Big's around here, potentially coming in though. The Banes again just can't really keep up. And the Reapers are going to be able with the grenades to keep the Zerglings away. A little bit at least. This is actually, what's even going on? Tell me, please, because I don't know. He somehow found his way towards a ledge here. And now those Banes off creep are slow, so he can chase them down because the Lings are gone. Ziggy cleans up. And overall, all said and done, as he finishes +1, these Reapers become even more dangerous now. I still think this is going good for Ziggy. Like, these Reapers are doing a lot of damage, and SortOf doesn't have any follow-up, right? SortOf has no upgrades of his own. He's not going anywhere. He's just still making them Bane, and it just isn't working at the moment. Another Queen gets sniped down. Another Griffin grenade as well. More Zerglings getting picked away at. Reapers continuing to pull back. More grenades. Hitting a creep tumor or so. Queen's getting bopped. That's a kill. And the Reapers can just sit here. Obviously, he's been denying the creep spread throughout as well. And without the creep spread, it's very difficult to be able to kind of push further forwards as SortOf to kind of get these Reapers away from the position where they're just consistently dealing damage. SortOf is about to get a lair up, but I don't know if that lair's just waiting too late to do much here. Let's try and come in from a couple different directions. The Reaper grenade pops the Reaper itself back once again. We've seen that a few times now. I mean, when you've got so many Reapers and so many grenades, it's bound to happen as it happens to a few more Reapers once again. It's not that influential, the fact it only does 5 HP of damage nowadays. And oh no, Queens between bases off of creep are so vulnerable. 3 of the 4 go down, and that's so painful as well. Again, just going to be seeing more of these Lings getting picked away at. Good grenades again. Those Lings are taking so much damage. Oh, excuse me, guys. I got a bit of a cough. A bit of a tickly throat. And at some point I just have to stop to cough, otherwise it's getting unbearable. Bane speed on the way up then. So again, Bane speed up. Some extra Bane still morphing. Lings coming through as well. Ziggy running back and forth. Couple of creep tumors getting picked off. Another grenade. Doesn't really connect on anything. He's added some Hellions in here. We saw the factory on the way up a while ago. This is now a Reaper Hellion push because it's only Ling Bane, I guess, is what he's thinking. He's like, okay, Ling Bane, introduce some Hellions and continue to do this. And this is for the moment working out for him as he presses forwards. I mean, Banes will have again Bane speed on the way, but they're not here yet. It's worth keeping in mind as we're going to see, whoops, that grenade actually hit into the center of a bunch of those Reapers. I feel like at this point there's been more Reaper grenades hitting Terran units than there have been Zerg units, but they're essential to win some of these fights. The Bane connects, but there was no second Baneling, so nothing actually dies. And SortOf is really just bleeding out units at the moment. He's about to lose the third hatchery even, which is obviously really painful. He's going to try and get up this ramp. I mean, a few Hellions being blasted back in towards Banelings, and it's just units flying all over the place. So many Reaper grenades going down. Some Banes getting pushed back, even though they have Bane speed. The Reapers are able to escape. Some Reapers on the right side as well here. And as Ziggy reinforces, he'll turn around and again catch the Banes off of creep on their own. Big kills. As we're going to be seeing the Lings continue to go down. The third hatch will fall. And so Ziggy will actually take a map again.